Identity disguises performances. Whatever your true identity is, you're going to represent that. You're going to walk in that in some way. And there's people who are generally living in their identity an identity that they have confessed or stated is their identity. And there's people who are not ashamed, not afraid. They're very bold to be in their identity. Like me, whenever I greet people, I love saying, God bless you, or how you doing? I'm blessed and thankful. And by those words, people generally, come to a conclusion that this guy is likely a spiritual person, godly person, Christian maybe, right? And I'm not afraid to sugarcoat that. I'm not ashamed to wear Christian attire in front of people, Christian hats in front of people. Was there a time where, as it pertains to the way I speak, I'm kind of ashamed about it in some way, or kind of afraid what they're gonna think about me? Yeah, in the past. But I think about, ultimately, I gotta live in my own skin. Ultimately, I gotta deal with my own emotions. All these people can't do it for me. They're not paying my bills. They don't give me air to breathe every second. They don't give me a beautiful sunlight. They don't give me land to walk on. And no one has a heaven for me, for you, except one. So why am I going so hard trying to live? Many people are doing this, live in accordance to an erroneous identity, or even some people are putting on an identity and thinking that you are a certain way, thinking that they are a certain way when they're really something else. Like, for example, people who say they're cheating, it can be pretty shocking too. You hear about preachers cheating, certain pastors are cheating, but people all across the world, regardless of the industry, regardless of the profession, is cheating, and we get shocked in many cases. Someone in your family who you thought was loyal, someone you looked up to, so a coach, a teacher, a parent, right? But they portray a sense of they're faithful. They portray the identity that, I'm doing the right thing. I'm a one man kind of person. If you're a woman, or one woman kind of person. If you're a man, but they really weren't, right? And eventually they get caught. Because it can hurt to unravel all that, to show that, wow, I'm really not this faithful person that I want to be, but I got some things in me that's keep me from truly being faithful. Although I profess to be faithful, monogamous, and don't cheat, I don't lie, my finances, all these things, right? It can hurt to unravel that and to be honest with yourself and honest with somebody else. And that's where that pride comes in. Wow. And of course, people are afraid of the consequences of what can come to them if they truly say the reality of who they are, right? So, but I pray that if you're that kind of person that's deceiving somebody, deceiving your partner, relationship, marriage, you'll come clean. The list is going on. The names is coming out. More and more people are being exposed, and then people they lose their respect. They lose a good reputation. They lose their church. They lose their family. You lose their job, their career. Because a lot of people are not confessing, and the Bible talks about confession many times, but often people wait until it's too late. It's too late. It's like what this gospel singer Francesca Battistelli said in her song, "If We're Honest." I love that song, "If We're Honest." She says, "Everyone has a heart that loves to hide." Everyone has a heart that loves to hide. So what Adam and Eve did when they sinned, they hid themselves. And we tend to hide that part of us that is grotesque, that part that we want no one to see, certain people to see. We hide family secrets, financial secrets, trauma from people, especially those who we are living in a house home with, and those who we are in a relationship with. And there's different reasons why we do that, but is it beneficial? So to us, we think it's beneficial. To us, we think that it's healthy if we do that. But often many times we realize too late that it's not healthy. It's not beneficial. And then now we're sitting down amongst ashes around us. Wow, I built all this family, this business, this reputation. Now it's crumbled because I kept up a facade. Because it takes humility to let your guard down. It takes power and humility to let your guard down. People think, oh, I'm strong if I always have my guard up. I'm strong if I don't tell anybody my feelings. I'm strong if I don't say this. I'm strong. No, you're weak if you don't have vulnerability, healthy vulnerability. I'm not saying tell the whole world, the key people, the key person, right? So, yeah. So, a lot of people have these erroneous identities and put up these disguises, which leads to them performing. They're like actors in this world. They're not getting paid for it. Maybe some are, but I think a lot of people have met. We are in some way an actress of some kind, and we're lying to ourselves. I think a lot of people today are also depressed and suicidal and aggressive. One factor, they're lying to themselves because there's something that they want to expose or tell somebody. There's something that they want to reveal, but it hurts. It hurts. And rather than truly reveal that, they keep it inside, and to the point of extreme anxiety and anguish, and then they end their lives. Or they have just mental breakdowns. Go to drugs, go to alcohol, sexual adventures, because they can't truly say, man, I got this beast, this monster inside of me, that I got these thoughts in my head that I know shouldn't be there, and I gotta deal with it. But a lot of them don't do it. They don't. They keep it all within. And it's not healthy. And it brings people to these pits of despair. Right? So, I pray that we would do better to deal with our erroneous identity, or our pseudo identities, and stop with the charade, man. Stop with the charade. Be, and a lot of people will say, oh, be who you want to be who you are, whatever. But there's a fine line with that, because obviously, okay, I'll be a thief then. I'll be a murderer. I'll be a rapist. I'll be a pedophile. There's certain things that are obviously not healthy. So it's not really to be what you want to be. It's be what's healthy. It's be what brings stability. It be what brings growth. Be what God's called you to be. And whatever God's called you to be, that's always the right thing to be. It always leads to stability. It always leads to growth. It always leads to excellence. It always leads to fulfillment. It always leads to dying, to taking your last breath with a smile. It's like a Paul said in the Bible, but I've run a good race. I fought against this fight. Now is laid for me a crown of righteousness. So Paul had those remarks of like peace and clarity, like contentment. Like, I lived the way I should have lived. I lived in my calling, and then I lived above what people wanted me to be. I didn't live according to what they wanted to be, what their the identity that they should say I should walk in. I live in my God-given identity, and I'm not ashamed of it. Oh no. God has a heaven for you, nobody else. God only. And I got God's smile. If I got God's smile, I don't care if I get their frowns. Their frowns are gonna fade away. But God's smile never fades away. And I want to look in the mirror myself and be able to smile at myself, saying, wow, I did what I was called to do with my life. Glory to God. All right, y'all. God bless you. I love you.